I've been waiting to be able to say this, but Challenger League is now finally here. It's been a busy few weeks in Siege since my last video. We've had the underdogs of 10-star crowned inaugural MPL champions over EUL Big Boys Heroic, even despite an inexplicable double disadvantage in the weighted best of 5, starting a map down and against a map ban procedure chosen by Heroic. The French League finals saw Wolves come out on top, though it was much closer than anticipated. The official announcement from Ubisoft that promotions from Challenger League are no longer, which may be a tough pill for current Challenger League teams to swallow, but with reassurance that the tiered competitive landscape will look considerably different from 2023 onwards, with opportunities for tier 2 teams to make major events. And last week we saw Death Row take the first seed in the final Challenger League Open qualifier, with J-Lings, M&M Academy and Viali Petoni also all securing their spots over the weekend. So on Sunday evening we had all of our teams ready to go, with some debate over whether Les Pichichi, the ex-Ascend roster, should actually get the spot over Viali Petoni, given that they had gained more points prior under that different banner. With no public word from admins for a few days, we were kind of left to wonder, except there was a surprise twist in the tale. On Wednesday the 5th of October, a twit longer posted by Rush, a player who intended to compete alongside Flairzo after their second place finish under the banner of Hellraisers in Challenger League 2021, detailed how they had missed out on registering their roster for this year's competition. A bit more on that later, because the next day, Ubisoft leaked their own Challenger League announcement via Ubisoft Connect. My place was getting new Windows installed this week, and it was a virtual bomb site, so I couldn't make this video until after the official announcement came out anyway, which was a day later, so you still can't call me a leaks channel yet. The biggest surprise in this announcement were the teams taking part. Instead of ex-Hellraisers and ex-Heroic maintaining their spots, we have the 7th and 8th place teams from the Challenger League Open qualifiers, Les Pichichi and the now ex-Coalesce roster. It seems that ex-Heroic also didn't register a team. Supposedly one was in the works but never solidified. Coalesce and Les Pichichi had kept quiet about info which may have been privy to them for a few days, or did their best to, but now could celebrate. I've made comments in past videos alluding to the fact that we never actually had official word from Ubisoft or Faceit specifying how many teams from the Open qualifiers would qualify for Challenger League. We knew that last year it was 8 teams from Nats Leagues, 6 from Open Quals, and then the 2 leftover teams from Challenger League the year before, so naturally we operated under the assumption of no change. Let the record show that I was at least technically right with my 65-point threshold estimate before the goalposts were finally revealed this week. Other important details in this announcement included dates, format, and a slightly increased prize pool. There's at least been one format improvement since last season's Challenger League, in that the group stage is now not single, but double round robin, meaning that each team plays each other twice, and we avoid the horrendously punishing situation of last year, where we saw teams' stints in Tier 2 last for only 2 best of ones. Now it takes at least 4. If they were only going to make a single simple change to the existing format, this is the best one they could have made, so thank you Ubi for listening to the community on this one. The groups were also announced in this post, and this is where Coalesce and Les Pichichi probably stopped celebrating. Plus, the turnaround is super quick, with the group stage starting, checks watch, next weekend. Hence this video's title, lovingly stolen from this banger tweet, thank you Wild. So, 16 teams, 4 groups, double round robin, with the top 2 of each group heading to the playoffs, which is a big fuck off double elimination bracket just like last time, but now with a secret mystery prize. Next slide please. Following in the footsteps of Moses and Ed Miliband, I've carved my predictions into the stony surface of the Twitter timeline, so feel free to at me when I'm hideously wrong. Overall, it seems like every group has one clear frontrunner, but the second place spot is far harder to predict. I want to talk through these teams, but for both my sanity and for yours, I'm limiting myself to 30 words per team. I could literally talk for days, you don't want that, trust me. Let's go through group by group. A is the first letter of the word alphabet, so we'll start there. Victus just made it with a 3rd place finish in MPL, but did so with a sub. With some luck and form, they could be genuine challenges for top spot overall. Viali Petoni only dropped out of qualifier 3 so early due to being forced to play 4 versus 5, losing 7-8. Consistently high performing, with the cheeky added benefit of very little VOD availability. And now for the teams I don't think are making it out of Group A. J-Lings, another team we rarely see at full strength, but I think the Flying V's above will outclass them. 12 words to spare. And Rebels. Interregionally, this is all we have to go on. 2 best of ones 3 months ago. They could win it all, but will probably not. Prove me wrong, Spain. Now Group B. There are some suggestions that this group may be the easy route to playoffs. This is what happens when you have such a complicated sourcing system that means it's impossible to seed properly. It does, though, make this group the most unpredictable in my opinion. Death Row are clear Group B favourites as the in-form side in EU, winning Qualifier 3. Only 4th in French League, but admittedly the region is stacked. Once they hit playoffs, we'll see. Lamb Party Hotel, previously Necro Raisers. These are my second choice pick based almost solely on gut feeling. The V4 winners might come out and justify the 4-nation merger, but could just as easily bomb. It's an embarrassing way to go, but getting grouped in B, I have ovation. Sure, they finished top 4 in Qualifier 3, but their route was exceptionally easy. The experience Rips brings could be a factor in making me eat my words. Last, and probably also least, activity. Surprise winners to some at the Benelux finals. I never had Jailings as clear favourites myself.
Joker look likely to finish bottom out of the 4. But between the other 3, it's very tight in terms of form, so any one of them could take it.
They might benefit from their new German imports and the extra downtime since early August. Group C now, and this has definite group of death vibes. Wild are simply out of this league. Games 8 proved that. In most people's books, they and 10 Star are the true title contenders. The Germans should walk over this group, but Ascend, previously 3-2-1 Sked, are not just a Liquifact team. Without him, they pushed Wolves to 2 overtimes in the French League Grand Final. This should serve as a big warning sign to adversaries. Not making it out of Group C, it pains me to say it, but Viperio 86, I wasn't convinced by their MPL finals performance. Hopefully more adjustment time with Leighton and Kane B in the squad allows them to put the Astro and Grubby days behind them. And X-Coalesce. They're good enough to have made it out of Group B, but they've drawn the short straw. Considering their inclusion in groups is a surprise, they have nothing to lose. And finally, we have Group D, and it wouldn't be a Jerry video without some form of shitting on Italy. Sorry, makers. 10 Star have only recorded losses to Wild and Heroic over the past 5 months, and even had the last laugh against the latter. We do have to officially retire the phrase #next up though, sad face. M&M Academy are the other informed side in the EU, finishing 2nd place in qualifiers 2 and 3 with New Cuties, Wild and JLo in the ranks, put these guys high in my estimations. And not making it out of Group C, I have Makers. I don't see this team outperforming M&M Academy. They have a high ceiling, but I think we saw them reach it a long time ago. SI 2021 is old news. And lastly, Les Pichichi, another team who didn't expect to be here, who find themselves in the deep end, and who genuinely could have had a shot at breaking through Group B. Oh well. And that rounds out my predictions for the group stage. I'll certainly be making another set once we hit the playoffs, and I've been proven wrong on at least 2 or 3 counts. But for now, I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about Rush. I mentioned earlier that Rush released a tweet longer detailing the Hellraisers drop from Challenger League. I've linked his tweet in the description so you can get the full story from his perspective, but it's hard not to feel a little bit sorry for the situation Rush found himself in, particularly as a Russian player with fewer means for regular National League competition, and after seemingly being ignored in his queries to admins. But as Omerta rightly pointed out, it is in a player's best interest to know the ins and outs of the global rulebook. This is also slightly besides the point, but it's hard to argue that X-Heroic and Hellraisers are more deserving of their spot than Coalesce and Lepichichi are. Both those teams have at least built themselves up and made the top cut over these qualifiers. By contrast, the X-Heroic and Hellraisers teams were virtually non-existent. The majority of these players moved on to other teams after the fallout of Challenger League 2021, and why wouldn't you if you're a top player wanting to compete at this level? It seems odd that you would want to languish for a year and wait for Challenger League to roll around again. It even seems strange to me that license holders keep a spot in the league after a year of no competition whatsoever. It highlights what is essentially a flawed format which allowed teams and players to do this before showing up at the end of the year out of nowhere. With the incoming changes, hopefully we won't have to endure this special variety of drama anymore. This has been a long one, but I have a few closing thoughts. Strangely, the official Rainbow Six Esports EU account on Twitter has not shared the announcement from the website yet. We also have another year where the group stage is being left to community casts for the Challenger League. It's a little disheartening to see Challenger League swept under the rug like this 2 years running, especially when Europe's Tier 2 scene is easily the best in the world, rivaling that of Tier 1 in other major regions. It's especially confusing given the level of investment put into the Tier 3 National League systems, which by and large run excellent productions and put on LAN finals. But it is many people's belief that the biggest damage to the Tier 2 landscape in the recent years was the removal of international minor tournaments from the ecosystem, and upcoming changes certainly seem as though they aim to rectify that. It's my hope that eventually we have a tier 2 league that runs in parallel with the top tier, and tying them together through majors may help to achieve that. Managing the transition in some other world regions has its own complications and nuances, which I would guess may necessitate even bigger shakeups at the very top, but here in Europe it's certainly possible. This chapter of Tier 2 Rainbow Six competition is coming to a close in the next few months, and I hope that the promised changes to the ecosystem show that UB have learned from past errors, as well as setting us all up for a much better one. Sorry if that got a little preachy at the end, but that just about wraps it up. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the group